I can still recall the feel of her clammy hands as she grasped my hand tightly. 6-year-old Sarah and I were standing in a sliver of sunlight as it streamed in through the second floor, screened in porch at the long term care community where I worked as a human resources manager. She spoke timidly. Did you see the bird fly into the tree? Where is it? I think I can hear it talking. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Do you hear it? What's your name again? I looked into her eyes and said, My name is Allison. You are safe and you know me. It's okay if you can't remember, though. You told me that you like to be outside and talk to when you get scared, and so that's why we're here together. She looked at me and said earnestly, Oh, yes, I think I remember Big Sarah telling me about you. She said you're a nice lady and would help me feel safe. I could see a mix of fear and relief in Sarah's eyes and could sense her confusion as she slipped away a little bit further. This was the first time that I experienced the PTSD related dissociative state of one of our employees, 32-year-old Sarah, who was as our team of selected people were carrying out the response plan that was created as part of the reasonable accommodations to help support her disability so she could be the rock star employee that we hired her to be. This story really happened, and though Sarah is not her real name, the fact is that this employee had a disability, and our team went above and beyond in the accommodations that we created for her. Initially, Sarah requested just extended time off as her accommodation when she would have a flare-up of her condition. But this would have resulted in her losing money and not being at work and being stuck in this space of her own mind. And so we took it beyond that by opening up our hearts and creating an environment where this employee felt like she belonged and felt safe. Workplace safety. When I say workplace safety, does your mind immediately go to workplace violence and the seeming increase in these heartbreaking incidents? Workplace violence is actually the third leading cause for healthcare workers and employees in professional and business services like education, law, and media. It's the third leading cause of death. Workplace violence leads to death. Perhaps you're curious about how the story I shared about Sarah relates to workplace violence. In my mind, it truly goes back to this idea of being seen. You see, I believe a way to decrease workplace violence and, more positively, enhance employee engagement, retention, and overall workplace happiness is the idea that we need to create work environments that allow for acceptance and belonging. We are social creatures. And as time has gone on, there's been an increase in those who identify as feeling really lonely. University of Chicago neuroscientist John Cacioppo defines this phenomenon as perceived social isolation, which basically means that we experience loneliness when we feel disconnected. I want to take a quick pulse of those that are here in the audience. I want you to raise your hand or nod your head if you have ever had a time at work where you had difficult, stressful, or challenging circumstances going on in your life outside of work. Okay, most of us, that makes sense. Life is not all easy peasy. And now I want you to kind of also nod your head or keep your hand raised if you feel like you had pressure to still be performing at work, despite the fact that you were navigating these challenges in your life. Yes, yes. And finally, did you feel like it was safe for you to talk to your HR department or to talk to your boss about what things you were unable to be doing at work because of your personal situation? No. Most people are going to say no. Now, the thing of this is a lot of people have a sense of belonging or safety in their personal life somewhere, whether it be in their home life or with friends or family. And for some other people, work is their safe place. You see, the story about Sarah was when I was working in an inner city area on the East Coast. And many of the employees that I supported, they actually had very difficult home lives. And so work was a place of safety for them. And so I had many opportunities when I was serving in this leadership role to create a sense of belonging and connectedness with the employees. And some of that was through creating accommodations. Some of it was through purely listening to what was going on with those individuals, opening my heart, helping the leaders in our organization open their hearts to see the situations differently and to not just think about how it was affecting the bottom line. We need to stop worrying about the bottom line. It's your people that serve the organizations who satisfy your customers, who help bring profits in. And so when you have an employee who's having some challenges, if you are a leader, I encourage you to sit and listen and open your heart. How can you help them feel like they can be accepted, that they belong, that there is a safe place for them at work? And honestly, if we do more of this, I do believe that workplace violence incidents will be decreased. And I'm going to leave you with a quote here by Brené Brown, who speaks a lot about vulnerability. And she says, "Never underestimate the power of being seen."